Y'all, we have made it to the topic section. And today I am super excited to bring one of my homies from Fanbase onto this podcast episode to talk about something that I love oh so much, photography. Because his shots are professional. The lighting is, oh my God, the sharpness is, dude, what you be doing in the editing backgrounds? I have questions. I got questions. So, bringing to the stage Nomad X Sage. Hey, Nomad, say hello to the audience.
Hello, audience. How you doing? My name is Nomad X Sage. I am a photographer. I specialize in street photography, also portraits, and a little bit of landscape.
Ooh, you do all of that. Now I have questions, simple questions, origin stories, character building here. So, how'd you get started, homie?
Okay. So I got started with photography. I want to say maybe 2014 when I really dived in deep into it. I got out of the military. I was doing a transition to becoming a civilian, and I used it as a tool to deal with depression. At that time, I was in a dark space. Luckily for me, I got myself a Canon. I believe it was a T7 at the time, and ever since then, I've been snapping shots left and right.
So, you started with a professional camera. You didn't work your way up to it. You
Oh
just
no,
went
no, no,
all in.
no! It was not a professional camera. It was a beginner's camera. Prior to that, it was the camera phones when they first came out. But I started taking it a little bit more serious with a beginner camera.
Okay, quick question for you. Are there any tips and tricks that someone can know when they're trying to use their phone camera as their first camera before
Oh,
buying a camera?
okay. So when it comes to starting off, I always say use whatever you have, and it's kind of something that's been echoed throughout the entire community. Use what you have because that's what you're going to be more comfortable with, right? So if you have a camera on your phone, use that. You don't need to go out of your way spending an expensive accessory that you may not commit to. So with the camera phone, whenever you're shopping for a camera phone, know the parameters, knowing the capacity, know essentially I guess the limitations is the best question answer of that phone. We're at a point in technology where that 5 megapixel is no longer going to cut it, right? Unless you're going for a certain theme or aesthetics. But specifically, I think you should be mindful of the storage space and how your photos can be exported to whatever computer you're using. If you're using a Mac or if you're using a Windows, when you take those phones off your phone, are they being compressed more than they need to be? So that is something, as a beginner, I think you should do a little bit more research if you're going to start using a phone.
Okay, so they're going to need to do some research. They're going to need to figure out all the specifications that they don't want to figure out. So for you, what would currently right now, how big is your phone size so that listeners know from your personal experience? How big is your phone storage?
Oh, well, my phone is 128, but I also use Apple storage, so it kind of helps me. One of the problems with the Apple storage is that, and this is just for, photos that you just play around with, when you store to the cloud, it gets slightly compressed. I know they say it's pretty much the same size. That's not true. It gets slightly compressed. So I would recommend anything above 128 is great because you're also taking videos, and depending on the phone that you have, sometimes you can extract a photo from a video. So that's something to take into account. But 128 is it's pretty much good.
Okay. I know for me personally speaking, my phone is 256 gigabytes. And Nomad, I ran into an issue last week where I was out of storage on my phone already.
Wow.
Because I had like 150 gigs of videos and photos that I had taken.
Right, right. You know, um, I always tell people get a hard drive, external hard drive, where they could transfer that, because eventually you're just going to have over 4,000 photos, and they're not going to be, the simple low resolutions. You're going to be like today's technology, 4K resolution. So I definitely understand a lot of people nowadays running out of space and having to depend on the cloud and whatnot. But I think 128 is a good safe point, especially as a beginner, because I highly doubt many beginners are going to take that many photos where they're, focusing, taking into account the techniques, the composition and lighting and whatnot, all those. So yeah, I think 128 is a good starter.
Okay. And then also when we're thinking about specifications for the phone, I'm only on this so much because we have a lot of people becoming content creators right now and starting out with their phone. And I know for me, when I was looking up phones in regards to like which phone is the best phone out there, I got the second best, which was the Google Pixel 6 at the time. Now I have the 8 Pro, and that I personally love the shots. It goes up to 4K when it comes to the rear facing camera,
Mhm.
as well as when it comes to the shops. If I'm not mistaken, it's 48 MP, I think, for the
Okay.
actual photos.
Yeah, megapixels. Yeah, 48 megapixels. That's beautiful. If you guys remember, maybe let's say 5 years back, we were nowhere near that. You guys remember, the front camera was only, I think, 12 megapixels at a time, and now we're moving up, for the front end camera. I don't remember the specifications for the Google Pixel 8. Do you remember what the front end camera is?
I know it was above 19. I do
Yeah,
remember that much.
yeah, yeah.
And I can say that I also borrowed my husband's phone, which is the Samsung Galaxy Ultra, and that one shoots up into 8K
Mm,
camera. And you can zoom in so far that you can see the moon and their craters, which is ridiculous to me.
yeah,
Like we have progressed so far so fast.
we have. It's the funny thing. A lot of people are, they're rushing for the 8K, but I don't think many of these people that are taking photos in 8K understand the work that goes behind editing 8K photos, contents, and stuff like that. Because one, that's a lot of data that the computer or the software is dealing with, and when it comes to rendering, and you probably know more than a few people, it takes forever. Like once you've finished editing the video, once you finish using Photoshop to edit the file, you notice the file is maybe not twice the size or three times the original size because you're adding more data on top of it. So I don't know. 8K is way up there.
Dude, I already know AK is way up there because here's the thing: like video editor that I personally use is CapCut, and that only can export up to 2K/4K. That's as far as
Mm,
it can go. So
right.
I've never tried to upload one of my AK shots in there because I don't even know if it's going to be able to hold it
Yeah.
without compressing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Um, it's I don't even know if a lot of the platforms can handle that. I think you're going to end up cutting some corners or cropping in the image a little bit more just because the files are so dense. But yeah, AK is up there.
it really is. So I have a question for you in regards to now that they got the camera and stuff, they're working it. What are your tips when it comes to actually taking shots like professional? What should they be looking at, like wind, lighting, all of that? What should they be looking at specifically to help them get a well lit shot?
That's a very good question. I say this because I don't think a lot of people think that far in depth. I think people just take shots and just rely on the computer to do the rest of the work. And technology has gotten so far where that is convenient. But when it comes to lighting and understanding uh, your 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 camera, I think the first step you should do is do the research. When I say do the research, take a course, find a book, because there's different techniques, and YouTube does help, but there's so many people explaining it, and it may not resonate with you unless you get like a full understanding of the basics, the down and dirty. But when it comes to lighting, I definitely recommend the first thing you should do is find a book that specializes in lighting. There are multiple techniques. Rather than using the most trending one, I think you should, get a full grasp of how to set up your lighting and the limitations of lighting. I know when I first started off with photography, lighting wasn't something that I knew. It was I was going off of what I saw on YouTube, some of the people on Instagram, and come to find out, not all those techniques uh, can be used. If you're trying to light somebody in a portrait, that's not going to work when you're doing a product photography. It's close, but it's not the same. Because there's like the intensity that you have to be mindful of, the reflection you have to be mindful of, and how that plays around with your subject. So I think some of the techniques you're going to have to dig deep in for that.
Okay, okay. I can say though, because I do like giving them, besides getting a textbook, don't sleep on getting yourself one of those clip-on lights for your phone just to start you out with something. Um, don't touch black lights until you're ready.
Oh,
They are hot, is one, and two, they're fun to play around with, but you also want to figure that out prior to you spending that type of money,
mhm.
because lighting can get very, very expensive very fast. Like cameras can get very expensive very fast. And so can photo editing software. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to be mindful of all this at the exact same time. So Nomad, for you, what photo editor do you personally use?
Photo editor, I love Adobe Creative Suite. I love it. I love it. They have the Creative Cloud. I love that as well because you have a full library that you can play with. If you're looking for something free, I play around with HitFilm. It's a free editing software that you can use for both videography and photography. So those of you that are familiar of it about it and the functions that it does have, you know. But those of you that don't, that's a good beginner software that you could experiment with. There's plenty of tutorials, documentations that you can review, and it's kind of straightforward. The interface is very friendly. But that is probably the number one that I would recommend. If you want to go free wise, you want to go hit films. But if you're looking to expand from whatever platform you're using already to something professional, I think you should go to Creative Cloud. It has quite a lot of resources.
I love that you said that, because when I'm looking at some of these creator jobs online, they actually say you need to be proficient in that specific software, not any
Right,
other software besides that software. I was like, so that y'all, that's A1 advice. A1. I've seen it
right,
on job descriptions, lots of them for big name companies, that they're looking for someone that has that specific experience.
right.
And I can also add into this, for me, because I'm not at that level, I'm basic. So what that means is Charente uses Google Photos Edit. That's all I do to edit my stuff. And some people are like, Charente, that's so amazing. How'd you do it? And I was like, Google Photos Edit? That's it. I
No,
didn't go anywhere special.
no, that's actually great because it's kind of like one of those. It was one of those processes where you just kind of start where you're at and understand the basics. Once you understand the basics with the platform that you're using, you can now take another step up. So Google Edit, there's nothing wrong with it. I use, not many people are familiar with this, but I do edit on my phone. I use Snapseed. It's another Google editing software. It's not super advertised, but it is under the Google family. So those of you that, prefer to have the convenience of editing on the go and not having to dive too deep and having tools that are fairly easy on the phone, I would say Snapseed is another good tool to use.
Did I just download that while you were talking about it? Yes. Yes, I did, y'all, because that's what Charente does. I'm a go-getter, y'all. And
Yeah,
you don't give me an app that I don't know about and then I don't download it. Nah.
right,
I'm gonna apply
right.
this knowledge now, because everything you've shared here has been so valuable. How can people find you?
Well, they could definitely find me on Instagram. For now, it's my handle is at Nomad X Sage. Um, yeah, I think that's the best place to find me. There, I do have an email address. If you have any additional questions, you could definitely hit me up in the DM or shoot me an email.
I absolutely love that. Is there anything that you want to leave with the listeners?
Um, yeah, for those of you who are beginning photography, I do want to tell you it is a journey. You meet a lot of amazing people, whether it's peers or clients. It's a great experience. Um, I think the most important message I could leave with you all is just get started and understand there's growth in every shot. Um, what you found amazing today, 5 months down the line, may be mediocre. And that's always a great thing because it shows growth. So just believe in the process, keep pushing forward, and keep moving forward. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much, Nomad, for joining us. And y'all continue living your best life. Oh, snap! It's that sound.